Hi, I just wanted to do a video taking a look at how you level audio in video editing. And, well, not just for video editing, but for podcasts as well. If you don't know, I do the podcast, The Amp Hour. I've been doing that with Chris Gamble from day one. And we use a program called the Levelator. Here it is, from a company called the Conversations Network, but it's long since been abandoned, but it still works. And what the idea with this is that once you've finished your podcast, for example, you would put it through this magic Levelator program, which levels all your audio. Because if you've got, when you're recording a podcast, or in this case, I'm editing a video where both David and I were talking, and I'm louder, typically loud, even though we're sort of the same distance from my microphone like this. I sort of put it in the middle, but because we're both even though they're the same distance, people naturally have different levels of their speech. Some people are louder than others. I'm typically louder than David, as we'll see in here. And sometimes you'll speak quieter like this. And there's lots of variance, unless you're doing voiceover work like I will often do in my videos here or I'm doing screen capture. I'm typically a fixed distance from the microphone like this, or when I'm behind the camera, for example, I've got an external microphone, and I'm typically a reasonable fixed distance from the microphone. And when I'm recording video just myself, or I'm recording a podcast, I'm the same distance from the mic. So there's not much variation in my voice. So I typically don't have to when I'm editing my videos, I don't have to level out the audio. But occasionally, when you shoot multiple people in a podcast, in this case, when you've got someone speaking louder than another person, or there's great variance, you're moving forward and back from the mic. Like if I go back like here, you'll notice the difference in the level, because I'm not going to level this video, ironically, because, well, that would be beside the point, as we'll see. But often, sometimes you do have to level your audio, and we've always used this program called the Levelator, as I said, and it really is quite magical. And you just drop in, you export. What you do is you go up to I use Vegas here, which is Magic's Vegas. It's no longer Sony Vegas, and you just render as an AIFF file, an audio interface, which is a lossless audio thing. So once you've finished editing your project like this is an hour-long video, and so you export it just as an audio track. You drop it into this magic Levelator program, and it just magically, first of all, it does a pass through the audio, and it finds like the low peaks and it finds like the noise level, and it kind of tries to reduce noise, and then it finds all the different peaks and troughs in the audio, and then it tries to level it all out so that when a soft speaker will be the same volume in the end result as a louder person like this, and it'll just level everything out. But it can amplify noise and other stuff. So on noisy, if you're recording in a noisy environment, for example, can be really, it doesn't work that great. Anyway, this program has actually been abandoned for many years now, so I thought I would try and this is what this video is about, actually comparing this Auphonic.com. There is a free version of this software. It's mostly a paid thing, but there is a free version, which I'm using now, which is a 2-hour time limit. So you can use 2 hours versus put 2 hours of audio in here. So I just put 1 hour of audio in there, 58 minutes, and it does lots of other things, great for podcasts, inserting intros and outros and stuff like that, and ad spots and all sorts of other things. But I just want to use it to level the audio out. And a lot of people will say, oh, you just normalize your audio inside Vegas. No, I'm sorry, it's not that easy. Let's actually go and take a look at. So we'll look at comparing the two different ones in a minute. But let's have a look here. Okay, this track here. Okay, this one. Sorry. Let's go back here. Okay, I've got 3 different audio tracks here, right? Normally I've only got the one. Okay, this is the audio direct from my microphone that we recorded this video from, and you can see that it's quite low in volume, and it's it's louder over here at this point. This is the waveform. You can see it's louder over here. Then it can get, you know, there's softer parts in here. This is probably David talking.
Save workspace as.
And then just type a name.
Let me put some headphones on.
Dummy.
There you go.
Right?
Now you're in.
So there you
let's
go.
see if CMake.
Loud,
There you go.
All right.
And then I'll start
Just
talking.
lots of pressing the same button.
And I wouldn't see someone like me. Well, I would never have figured this
there
out.
It is. So I
Yeah,
Would anyone looking at your all we have was
reading.
there?
Just
You
lots
can
of
see
pressing the same
difference
button.
in the audio there. Sorry, I'm looking away from the camera here. I'm filming this, I'm recording this on my 4K monitor, by the way. Anyway, so there's all this natural variance in the audio. So it's really not that great to listen to it. Like, it's okay. Like, it sounds dynamic. Like, it sounds, because there's lots of variance in the audio. You know, it sounds real because it's, you know, there's all that variance. So your mind goes, oh, yeah, that's just normal speech. Yeah, David's sitting further back or whatever from the, you know, your mind just thinks that's quite normal. But still, it's not that great. If you're listening through through headphones or whatever, or, you know, it's just, sometimes it can be really annoying. So really, this is a classic video of where I would normalize the audio. And a lot of people say, oh, Dave, you can just normalize it inside Vegas. Well, let's go in. Let's try and normalize this, okay? I can go in here, I can right click, switches, and I can, whoop, it is normalized, what? No, it shouldn't be. And I can just, oh, no, this is a bad example. Okay, no, let me find another example here. Let's go up to here, sorry, hang on. Let's go this one here, okay? Let's go this one here, which has David talking softly and me talking loudly, okay? And you can do this across the whole track, but we'll just do it on the one clip. So if I go normalize, switches, normalize like this, it has, yeah, it's expanded, it's amplified things, okay? But it hasn't normalized the speech between the two. Yeah, it's made me louder, but it's made David correspondingly louder. All it does is chooses this peak part here, which should be right here, and puts that, yeah, there's a setting. It puts that like 3 dB below the peak or whatever. You can change that setting, but it doesn't do anything intelligent to make this over here sound.
There you go. That's the dummy workspace.
Yep. Just
It does have instructions on the Git.
Oh, I was going to say, if you got hit by a bus.
Find nothing.
Right?
Like,
So like,
there you go. That's the dummy work.
It's not the same thing as what the Levelator program does and what this Auphonic program will do. So what I've got here, let me just mute that entire track, okay? So we won't get anything now.
So we're going to
Looking at your...
Oh, hang on. Did I? No, I goofed it. Sorry. I completely goofed that. I didn't have both the other tracks muted. Sorry. Let's do this again. All right. I won't edit this. Okay.
Yep.
So now we're just going to
David
type
talking softly.
CMake as,
Here we go.
Save workspace as.
and then just type a name.
Talking softly.
I was going to say, if you got hit by a bus...
Me
and,
talking much louder.
and
that's
always...
So that's the natural
It looks like it's
difference.
found a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, I was going to say, if you got hit by a bus...
CMake
Right, so there's a real big difference
and save
in those
workspace as.
audios. Okay, so I'll mute that now, and this is the result
Dummy.
from
There
the
you go. Now you're in.
Levelator program, and you can
Let's
see
see if
you
CMake.
can see how it gives you an
There you go.
output
That's the dummy workspace.
all
Yep.
So now
basically
we're
the
just going to
one
type
fixed
CMake.
level across
Let's see
there.
what-
Let's pause. It's the one fixed level, and this one down here is the output from Auphonic. So let's look at the Levelator one. Now, at first, I'm just going to zoom into the audio here, okay? And at first glance, it looked, well, out here, it looked like the Levelator program is more giving you a more dynamic response in there, so to speak. So, you know, at first glance, I thought, because this is the first time I've compared these, by the way, and the Levelator, it looks like it gives a more dynamic response, and the Auphonic one down here makes it look like it's just like clipped at top and bottom. But if you actually zoom in, look at this, right at the start here, you can see that there's actually more dynamic stuff in the Auphonic one down here. Look, it's still got some silent ones down here, but the Levelator one has sort of like, it's really normalized everything. Whereas, So the Auphonic one is giving you a more dynamic response. So let's play the Levelator first. Okay, I've definitely muted those and those. This is the output from the Levelator.
Hi, I'm chopped off. It's David.
I was stretching my mouth when you started. That'll be weird.
Does it matter?
Right, so that's the output there. And let me try the Auphonic one. You might be able to hear that it's quieter in this point here, which is a natural thing because he does speak lower. So it's giving you a more dynamic response. Let's go.
Hi, I'm chopped off. It's David.
I was stretching my mouth when you started. That'll be weird.
Does it matter?
Right, so
No.
Does it matter? No?
Hi.
Okay.
Result. It's better,
Hi.
right? But it's better than the original recording up here, which is quite low, especially my intro over here.
Hi, I'm chopped off.
Right? My intro is quite low in terms of the waveform. Oh, by the way, I have actually dropped the amplitude here. It does actually produce, that's the actual output. So I've actually dropped it because I wouldn't output, because I've got my signal level over here, and when you're rendering videos,
I'm chopped
you
off.
don't want to go that high.
It's David.
That is not good.
I was stretching my
and there's
mouth when you
industry
started.
standards for
That'll be
this,
weird.
which I won't go into.
Does it matter?
No.
Does it
maybe
matter?
not.
No? Does it matter?
Maybe there
No,
or
Does it
something
matter?
like
No?
Hi.
Okay. Hi.
But you can see, yeah, Auphonic, I think, gives a slightly more natural response. It depends what you're after. Now, there's actually a silent period in here somewhere, which here it is, that I wanted to have a listen to. Now, you can see that the Levelator program has pretty much silenced all of that. So let's go in there and let's play that. And you can listen to it almost like it has a gating thing where if it's below a certain level, it'll just drop it to 0. It's like it's got a low gate. Oh, it can't, there's an industry-specific term for that. I think it might be low gate or something. So anything under that, it'll actually take it to 0. So let's have a listen.
My credentials, so I shouldn't have to password that again.
Mm-hmm. It's not bad.
Not quite.
So what if I just
0, but it's really taken out that background. You know, because there's air conditioner noise and stuff like that in the background. Because I've got a Rode NT1A mic here. It's the world's quietest mic. It'll pick up everything. So let's do the Auphonic one.
credentials, so I shouldn't have to password that again.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear David.
It's not bad.
So what if I just
Yeah, I think
shouldn't have to?
so. I think the Auphonic is giving a better response there in general. So like I don't mind the Levelator one, but I can play you more parts of it too. But yeah, Auphonic. Based on my experience with the Levelator, this is my first time using Auphonic. It seems to be
Build process
better.
works.
But this is how you'd really import your code, though, right?
Just to make sure that CMake and the
Anyway,
build.
there's like some artifacts in the Levelator I can't quite explain. I'd have to find specific examples. But yeah, I would say the shootout between the Levelator and Auphonic, Auphonic wins, I think. So for this video, I am going to render. What I'll do when I render is just simply mute out the main track. I'll get rid of the Levelator track or just mute it out. And then I'll just export the Auphonic one. So it's quite good. So if I go over here, where am I? Here we go. So can we go back there? Please click here. Edit this production. And by the way, so you upload your file, it supports many different audio file formats. When you're doing this sort of stuff, you always want to use a lossless algorithm. Oh, geez, I sound loud now. A lossless algorithm to export export and import your audio. You don't want to use MP3 or anything like that. That's a bit dumb. Anyway, so you can see you can specify intros and outros. So great for podcasts and things like that. Metadata, chapter marks, and output format. I used to output it in FLAC because it didn't support. You wanted to output a lossless, so it didn't support AIFF format, which I used for. It supports it for input, doesn't support it for output, but I just use FLAC, which is a lossless format. It can do speech recognition. I don't know what goes on there. And a lot of these are paid services and stuff like that. But here we go. It's got an adaptive leveler, which is basically what the Levelator is, and it's adaptive leveler. It searches through, it'll like process it multiple times, because you've got to search through first to find out where all the peaks are, noise floors are, and do stuff like that. And so there's adaptive leveler, there's loudless normalization. Hang on, it tells you down the bottom. It corrects level differences within one file between speakers, music, and speech to achieve a balanced overall loudness. So that's basically what you want. But I had both of these turned on. Now, loudness normalization adjusts the global overall loudness to the specified loudness target. Right, so it'd do multi-pass, not any multi-pass processing, first of all, to find all the peaks and everything to do the adaptive leveling, but then once it's done all that and process that, it'll then do loudless normalization. So if you don't set, and you can set it here we go, here's the different loudless normalizations. I was using -16 LUFS. That's an industry standard sort of setting for podcasts and mobiles and stuff like that. That's typical. Vegas has those sort of level windows on the side, but I won't display that. This is long enough. Anyway, so yeah, -16 is fine, something like that. And you can do hum and noise reduction. I haven't tried that because it was fairly quiet in here. We had a little aircon background noise, but nothing serious. But if we were in a more noisy environment, like on-site filming or something like that, you might, and you had generators or something running in the back, or some sort of consistent noise in the background. By the way, if you're doing that, leave part of your audio in there, which is just silent. It's just the background audio. So then the leveling program will have a baseline that it can actually detect and actually help remove noise and hum and stuff like that. And filtering classifies the lowest wanted signals, male, female, speech-based in music, and adaptively filters unnecessary, disturbing low frequencies in each audio segment. So what is that like a high-pass filter? I've already got a mechanical high-pass filter on my mic here, so I had that on because it was by default. It had all those three. But anyway, that's really cool. I would recommend Auphonic. Even the free version was able to do this 1 hour video for me, but I'll have a look at what other stuff it can do. But I only use it, I only need this occasionally, as I said. So yeah, I deem the shootout, I deem Auphonic to be better than the Levelator. We've used the Levelator for years and years and years, but it always had some limitations, especially on noisy stuff. It'd amplify the noise and it'd level things out, which was great, but then there'd be spots where it'd amplify the noise and it's kind of, it was a bit graty. So sometimes I've used it and I go, nah, it's not that great. I'll stick with the original audio. Other times it's been bang on, but you've really got to have like a low noise thing. Anyway, so there you go. That is leveling audio. And a lot of people say do it in your software. Your editing software can do it. No, it can't do it. Like there are filters and other processes and stuff that you can put on, like advanced stuff that you can do in here, but it's not as easy as simply exporting your audio. It takes like this 1 hour clip. When I'm finished, it takes 2 minutes to output an hour's worth of audio, and then you upload it to Auphonic and drag it into the Levelator. I think it took 10 minutes to process online. It's a web-based thing, and it took 10 minutes tops or something to process it and make it available for me to download. And then once you downloaded it, you just simply drop it in. It's one big audio file. You just literally drop it in and mute out your other track up here. And Bob's your uncle. You don't have to dick around with your audio software. This thing works like magic. These two programs work like magic. But it's a shame that the Levelator hasn't been, I don't think it's been touched in 8 years or something, 9 years when we first started using it, when we started the amp hour. It was magical. It was really good, the Levelator. It did just black magic. And now, yeah, I think there's very few alternatives to it, and one of them is Auphonic, and it seems to do the business. So, winner, winner, chicken dinner. There you go. Hope you found that interesting. If you're doing this sort of leveling stuff, I know the audio pros will have their own techniques and stuff like that. And I just want to export my clip, put it in here, boom, done, like job done. I don't fuss over my audio. The most I'm ever going to do, by the way, I do all of my audio normalization by eye. I just look at the waveform, like this, different clips, and I'll just, like occasionally behind the camera, I will be standing a bit further back from the mic, and I might have to like normalize an individual clip. I'll go in there and, actually normalize it. I don't know why normalize is ticked there, because I did not normalize this. Something weird's going on. Is that because it's muted? No. Something terribly... I don't remember normalizing the entire track, so I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, that's quite strange. But yeah, I might just like tweak it. I might just drag the level, I'll just drag the level around like that just to visually match. As long as it's near enough, I sort of match, the entire length of them. But yeah, rarely, I don't apply any other filtering or anything like that to my audio. Occasionally I'll put a high pass filter in because I get a very high rise in terminal, high pitch voice and something like that. And I might do that over here. I would go into track FX, for example, and you can put in like a filter in here. So you can, make it a bit steeper and you can, cut it off at, 80 kilohertz. You can cut it off at 8 kilohertz or something like that. And you can put in high pass filters as well. And it's got a track compressor and stuff like that. And by default, Vegas will actually render using a track compressor and a track EQ and a track noise gate and things like that. So you can actually, and you can go in and put these in manually and do all that sort of stuff. But it's not the same. It is definitely not the same as putting it through a magic leveling program, which, changes soft voices to match other speakers. So if multiple speakers, yeah, you really need something like this. So I've waffled on for long enough. There you go. That's great. That works. That's the first time I've used Auphonic in anger, and yeah, I'm quite impressed. It's better than the Levelator, I think. There's parts of it that I've listened to and it does sound better. Usually I'm not using my headphones. I'm using my Focal CMS 40 studio monitor speakers. I don't like editing with headphones. I find it better. Although listening to real subtle stuff, sometimes I might put the headphones on, but very rarely. So I'm always using my studio monitor speakers here. So there you go. If you like that, give it a big thumbs up. Catch you next time.